Hey, this is Brian, the coach with Coach's Corner, and Brian, the interviewer,
Brian the interviewer here.
doing my, what are we going to call this? Summer guest hosting experience.
Yeah, you're the co-host this week.
No, stop it. This is a Coach's Corner. This is not,
But I'm not a coach.
I did.
You
I
don't,
said, so
you
you're
don't,
13, but you look like you're 12, or I shouldn't even say 12. You look like you're 10.
bruh, stop.
All right. So big news came out today. MVP and PFL joined forces. So
It,
what do you think that means?
I just think it means that there's just a bigger promotion. It's like we were talking how PFL has the fighters. They have like the consistency, but do they have the stars? I don't think they have soft. I literally think they just have the volume of people is more. I feel like that's like the main thing. I don't really see a lot. They have like you said it was going to be under MVP. The name.
So I could be right, could be wrong. I don't know, but it looks
It's
like it's going to go from PFL to MVP. The thing about it is, look, you're going to get the PFL roster, which is pretty big. You're going to get the PFL venue relationships, which is really wide because they're doing a lot of events. Then you've got MVP has got Netflix. They've got, you know,
the money behind them to
they've
do
got
it.
well, I mean, Netflix is bringing money the same
Yeah.
way Paramount is to UFC. Netflix could be to this PFL MVP. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. But the one for me, the first thing I said was, now what happens to Scott Coker? He got $60 million to start a new promotion. He's got a little bit of an old school idea of what he's going to do there. He wants to do a tournament situation, whatever. I'm like, okay,
Comparing.
PFL MVP coming together, plus UFC in the market. Now Scott Coker's kind of stuck. I mean, what television deal is he going to get? How many fighters are really going to be available?
I
What's going
think
to happen there?
60 million to what the UFC and MVP slash PFL are doing right now. It's not even 60 million isn't enough really to me. I'm like, UFC spent 60 million on the UFC White House card. I'm like, even though that's a crazy event, the 60 million I think is looking a little low right now.
60 million was low to start. I mean, the
Yeah.
UFC spent more than 60 million on the White House card.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think, but what we were talking about earlier was like with the fights that we thought were going to align after the MVP fight with Parnays and Ngannou, or Ngannou versus Robles we were looking at, and the UFC took them.
Yeah, so I think the
I feel like
UFC.
the stars aligned here, and I think
Well, I don't think the stars aligned.
not stars aligned.
I think somebody was telling somebody that stuff was going to happen, and
Not
then
the
they got
stars
ahead
aligned.
of it.
I meant like for us, I think not stars aligned. I meant like the dots lined up here. I was like, oh, you and me were like, oh,
Why are they doing this?
yeah, why would, like, when this first came out, we were like, we were confused because there was nothing really, those two don't really add too much to the
Well,
division.
Parnays, I think, does, but Robles didn't really make a lot of sense. I didn't understand why you're going to bring him back. He didn't show that he expanded his skill set. Wrestling was always the hole in his game. He clearly didn't do anything to show that's evolved. So UFC comes in, they pick him up off the MVP fight. And I mean, I think they just picked him up so that Ngannou didn't have an obvious challenger already existing. I'm sure there's somebody in PFL that he could fight, but
Yeah,
the guy that they said was going to be the next great thing, he smashed that dude in like what, a minute?
something like that. He hit him with a left hook, and the guy went. It was just done. Like,
But the other side of it is, do you really think the PFL wants to be back in the Ngannou business? They got into business with him. They spent a tremendous amount of money to bring him in, and he didn't do anything. I guess Netflix will foot the bill, so it'll be different. But yeah, really interesting because you've got MVP boxing plus MVP MMA coming together.
That's what I was confused about. I thought MVP.
That's like UFC and Zuffa right there.
Yeah, I was confused because I was like, isn't MVP boxing gonna stick? That's why I was like, oh, from my first thought was PFL and MVP were gonna go together, but it was gonna be under the PFL name. MVP stays to boxing.
Well, the other one is too. Eddie Hearn hopped in on this. Eddie Hearn and MVP, they have a handshake to start working together to develop the MVP female boxing as well. Yeah, I mean, What? So all the people that don't like the UFC got together and formed their own league. It's kind of funny.
Basically. But honestly, I think I don't like when I say the UFC's like nervous. I'm not gonna say they're like threatened really at all. I just think they're kind of like they see that there might be something that would kind of close up on them a little, maybe. But I think they did this completely just to like make sure there's nothing to happen. But I still think they are doing better.
Do you think this creates a viable number two? Like when I say number two, not, I mean, PFL MVP together is clearly now number two, but number two in terms of moving closer to the UFC.
I think so. I think they have kind of all they need right now. I think that as we see it develop, I think see things change. But to be honest, this is to me is really just like the PFL under Netflix.
No, but the PFL has 433 fighters on roster.
Yeah,
That's a lot. And
yeah,
then you
and
have
MVP
MVP.
doesn't really have any.
No, but MVP has the show side of it.
Yeah,
PFL has the structure side of
they
it.
have.
And then Netflix becomes their Paramount. I mean, this could be interesting, but they don't have $7.4 billion Paramount deal. They don't have a PI. They don't have an Apex. They don't have the clothing line. They don't have the video game. They don't have all the things the UFC
Yeah,
has.
they have like 3 out of 100 things right now, but it's the big
What
things.
three? What three?
They have the money, they have the platform, and they have the fighters.
Okay. The other stuff could be built, but they clearly don't have the infrastructure. But
Yeah.
again, now PFL doesn't have the infrastructure, which you can now argue that with generating less revenue, they can pay fighters better because it costs a lot less money to run the PFL than it does the UFC. The UFC has, I mean, they have a they have a big payroll come Friday.
Yeah, they have the octagon. There's like no room for anything. Look at the octagon canvas. There's no room for any more sponsors basically. That could literally pay for like so much. So, and that's just one thing. They have so much just
But the UFC, just in terms of its size and the cost of running the business, is different. So the PFL doesn't necessarily need the same amount of money that the UFC has to potentially pay fighters better because their overhead is less. So from a business perspective, if the PFL runs a tighter ship financially, they can create financial incentive where fighters that traditionally would go to the UFC may be able to go to PFL. If Netflix is going to give them a large enough platform to promote themselves, fighters may go there. It creates an interesting conversation. I don't know how it's all going to flesh out. I don't know how well they're all going to work together. I am not. I'm not impressed. I'm impressed with what Jake Paul is able to pull off, but I'm not impressed with his overall ability to put something
Is
together.
it really Jake Paul though?
Well, I think him and what's the hell's the guy that he works with? The guy,
The bald guy.
yeah, what's his name? Whatever. But the two, him and that other dude are running the MVP situation. I really hated the matchmaking. I didn't really like what was going on, but I think this does change it. I think it changes it for sure. This is a little bit of the Strike Force UFC kind
I
of
think
feel
it is.
to it.
That's what I got. Yeah, I'm like, I think it's gonna be a little more showy. I think it's gonna be a little more on the entertainment side because of the I feel like PFL going to MVP. In my head, I'm kind of like it's probably going to be a little more showy because I think that's what MVP really does bring to the table.
But I don't think UFC is really affected.
I don't
Maybe
think
it makes it a little bit more competitive in the
I
marketplace,
think
but
it's good though.
I think it's good. I think more shows, more real shows, not spectacle type shows, but more leaguish shows, consistent work opportunities are just better. And having even the idea of a competitive marketplace is going to force people to change how they do stuff. So this could lead to a lot of the discussions people have about the problems with the sport being addressed because now there's more than one player on the block that's got some momentum.
Yeah, I think but I think it's good. I think it makes both want to grow more than they already do. I feel like when the PFL in the current state it is, I feel like it's just kind of being the PFL, and there's not really any growth there because I think the PFL has been stuck at their spot. But I think,
They're also on ESPN. ESPN's been a terrible partner for
and
them.
but
Terrible.
it's also you have to get to the ESPN like Super Plus bundle, and it's like so much money. So it's like basically with the PFL, it's like most of their viewers end up just going to legally watch it.
I don't know if it's going to go to Netflix. Netflix has said time and time again that they don't want a league. They like events. They don't like systematic programming. They don't necessarily want to have a league. They may be changing their tune. Maybe they're seeing a different opportunity. Maybe their animosity towards Paramount's making them look at it
We
differently.
don't
I
know
don't
too
know.
much here. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
We're just speculating a
Yeah.
lot here. So
Nothing we say is like really like
we're
any.
reading the tea leaves. We're predicting the future. So like I gotta rub the genie and see what comes out. So that is like the business news side of stuff. So now that question of why did Robles get signed totally makes sense. Why did Parnes get signed totally makes sense. Why did Ronda start talking shit again about Hunter yesterday? Now it all makes sense. There's a lot of things that make sense.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn getting involved. Okay. Eddie Hearn is that whole other layer. He's working with Ian Gary. He's working with Aspinall.
He has like in on the UFC a little
But
bit.
does that mean he's looking to partner up so that he can shift those guys to get into a competitive landscape and possibly move over? I don't know. But it is prize fighting.
I don't think so, though.
They're going to go where the money is and where they legally can go.
Yeah. Aspinall definitely has some time on his contract because didn't he recently sign one? A contract?
Well, he's the champ. The problem is when you're the champ, you have to defend the belt. You can't walk away. And if you do walk away, you're on the shelf for 2 years.
Yeah, basically. And
so the other thing I want to bring up is the unfortunate situation that's happening. You have Dustin Poirier has his situation, and now we have
Anthony Smith. This one, the comparing, I really don't want to compare too much.
I'm not comparing them as individually. I'm saying that post-career challenges we're seeing.
I'm just saying that the comparison really is not there. I think that too many people would compare to the Dustin Poirier situation with Anthony Smith, but no, it's different.
Of course, from what the reports are showing from Anthony Smith, there was clearly some kind of altercation here.
There was action.
It was a domestic situation that was dangerous. There was potentially a gun. There was a car. There was threats. It was bad. Dustin Poirier got drunk in an airport and picked a fight. And
it wasn't. There was no really.
It got really bad.
There was no actions. There was no. I feel like there wasn't any like physical actions that were going to hurt anybody or put anybody's life in risk. Like
it was just a really bad situation for him to be in. But the Anthony Smith one, this one's really more complicated. So Anthony Smith, I met Anthony Smith backstage at a show in Atlantic City many years ago before he went to the UFC, and he was a angry, tough guy with a rough crew of people around him. And I honestly looked at him and was like, okay, I don't know where this guy's going. He's dangerous. He was aggressive on the mic. He hated everyone he fought. This was like a really angry young guy. Then years later, I see him at a UFC cornering a guy. We're backstage with him, and he's cool, calm, collected, speaking well, very nice, completely different personality. I guess at the end of the career, when the challenges kicked in, I guess he landed somewhere in the middle where he's still that guy that evolved, but that young angry kid came back out when he didn't have the fight focus.
I think no matter what, I feel like these fighters, they have those parts of them are still there. I think that even if you kind of do like what he did and was calm, cool, collected, I think that there's still the old version of you is still there. So I think that leaving fighting is also hard for a lot of these guys. And I think at the end, like apparently Anthony Smith had a really hard time coming out of fighting, even at the end. Like he was kind of like, this is gonna be my last fight. No, this one's gonna be. It's like he kind of pushed it off a little till he kind of had to retire at a point. And when he did, it was kind of like, even in the moment, it was kind of like the send off was like it wasn't like feeling. I felt like he still wanted to fight. I just felt like
Yeah, I mean, that was the end of his UFC career, and then he came back and he fought in the game bred bare knuckle
and then
MMA.
but the thing is he separated from fighting, but he was still with the UFC and he had that commentating job. But then to the move with Paramount, he was they
I think he did have a part on a pre and post show situation. He didn't have a big broadcasting role. I know
he
he
was on
tried,
the desk like almost every event really.
and he was trying to get a podcast off the ground, and I heard that didn't really go well for him. So, um, it's tough when you're talent on the air. It's very different than when you're talent in the cage. The fans are looking at you differently. The opportunity to see you is different. What you're doing is different. I mean, the whole thing changes. You go from being the man in the arena to the man on the outside with a mic. Yeah, it's very different.
And then now I just think that, and then he went back to the fighting with the bare knuckle thing. He had success there, and but then it was kind of like, where do I go from here? I feel like that's what it was like watching those fights. That's what you kind of got the feeling of, and I think that I don't know if that was like if he said that was it, maybe, or
I
he was looking for something else. I don't know.
I have I have a fighter that's going to come on and is going to be a guest. I don't want to say who it is exactly just yet, but it's a it's a really cool old school throwback guest. And we were talking loosely yesterday, and one of the things I was saying was that, you know, he said to me, he said, these guys need to have almost like a reintegration to society program. I'm like, yo, most of these guys were never fully integrated in society that come to fighting. A lot of these guys, they're coming in pretty wild and they stay wild. And now they're older.
Fighting is literally like the one sport I feel like where being wild isn't really an issue. I think being
Not
wild,
only is it not an issue, but
it
they
can help.
promote it.
Yeah.
They want you to be
And
that.
also, yeah, they want you to do it. It's like a little like, oh yeah, you can be like that. And it feels like, and a lot of these fighters that are like that and they fought for a very long time, it's literally, they became that. And there
They
was like,
become almost like a character. But the problem is the law doesn't care about the character. You can't just go and do what you want. I
I
mean,
don't even, this one sounds like, I don't know if there was anything involved, but it sounds like this was a outbreak and of something in his head that kind of, I don't think he,
so Luke Thomas said this, and I thought it was rather interesting. He said that when you're a fighter, today is the best your brain's ever going to be because the damage adds up. And Anthony Smith's a guy who has 60 plus fights and he's taken a lot of damage. And we have no idea what the impact on the brain is. We've seen a lot of guys that really have trouble getting through the day because of what they did to themselves physically. Some guys get new hips and new knees and new shoulders. He's a guy that, maybe the brain trauma added up. I mean, CT is a real thing.
he's definitely, and he's gone through those wars. He's not a guy that you'll see that like has like his body has issues, but because he took a lot of shots in his UFC career. And
But we don't know what the impact of this
yeah,
is.
a lot of guys can like not even take a lot of shots, but take shots that hurt them, and that can hurt them in the long run.
The crazy part about the brain situation is how literally some guys can go through wars the whole career and have no problems. And then you have some guys that take
Yeah.
one semi okay hit and they're never the same again. You're literally dealing with a concussion issue. You took a funny jab, and it's been a month of challenges where
Yeah.
someone else, it could be a couple days and a nap and they're fine. The brain's a funny thing. Everybody's brain responds differently. And that's the thing. I don't think the organizations have to come up with anything to solve this. People are like, oh, the UFC has to whatever. And I'm like, I don't necessarily
Yeah.
think so. I think that we should create a multi-generational collection of former fighters, guys that from the beginning, have a lot of things so that we can see the challenges that the different generations are facing. And we should create more of like a fighters association that does have things in place to help athletes navigate their post-fight careers and even navigate their careers while they're going. We don't have to have a fighters association just related to any one organization. I think a fighters association would be a good thing,
Just in
but
general, fighters association,
yeah,
not to one. Yeah.
but the problem is that the managers don't want their fighters to get together with other fighters. and the organizations don't necessarily want any voice speaking. They like speaking directly to the guys so they can get done what they need to get done. So fighters don't like working together because they're scared that they're going to get blackballed or whatever.
They're
So,
scared of what the other people don't want them to do, and they're scared that if they did that, bad things
well,
would happen.
everybody at every level is afraid that if there's some kind of fighters association, you're going to lose control over whatever it is you feel you have control over. And that's fine. I completely understand it. I understand that you don't want to lose the you don't want to lose what you have, but we do have to acknowledge that the sport's been around long enough now and these athletes are getting better and the opportunities are more and we have so many events going on. Guys are fighting a lot more that yeah, there's going to be a lot of things going on here. And I think we have to help fighters prepare for a more successful future.
Yeah, I think that is a good idea. I feel that the yeah, I think the fighters are kind of. I feel like they're almost fit into this mold that is like they're supposed to be scared of like something like a fighters association or be with. Yeah, I just think like if
Well,
the
the guys that are benefiting from how it is now are
they don't.
always scaring people away from change.
Yeah,
And I completely get that too. I mean, Exxon's not going to be happy about electric because they're going to sell less oil unless you're going to bring them in on creating more electric so that they can profit off the change. It's going to be hard to get them to want to change. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Doesn't matter if it's sport, if it's oil, if it's whatever.
in general.
In general, people don't like change when they're benefiting from how things are. So the only thing I can say in that regard is we've got to create something that, someone's always going to lose with change, but just we've got to create a situation that's going to be respectful to all the different parties. And yeah, we've got to just operate at a higher standard. I mean, Dana keeps saying UFC's competing not with other MMA leagues, but the NFL. Okay, fine. So then you got to start acting like the NFL and you got to start taking care of your athletes the same way the NFL does theirs. So, yeah, I mean, I think better organization, clearer path, protecting guys from the common pitfalls. It makes it easier for sponsors to put big money into the sport. I think it makes television a lot more lucrative because they're not as afraid of what's going to be
The
said.
sponsors is a good thing to bring up because I think, unfortunately, the two events like what happened with Justin Poirier and Anthony Smith, anybody that sponsors them or multiple UFC fighters, I feel like that I do think they're a little hesitant to get into sponsoring these guys just
Well,
because of I
what
think
about Josh Hokett? Forget about legal problems. You have Josh Hokett on the White House card saying Michelle Obama's a dude. Do you really think Nike's going to want to get their logo on an octagon where something like that could be said?
what about when John Jones had Nike on his shorts?
And then he lost it
Yeah, and he
because of
lost it.
his personal
Yeah,
situation.
so it's like these big companies do not really want to invest in these guys because stuff like this is going to happen.
So if you
I'm
look
not
at,
saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying stuff like this has happened.
but
But it,
look at Kaepernick. Kaepernick in the NFL, very controversial, but he was controversial from a cultural, social standpoint. He wasn't like throwing conspiracy out or he wasn't, shit posting or anything like that. He was taking a cultural stance that aligned with the company's values. So they stayed with him even when he was outside the NFL. The UFC doesn't have a legitimate cultural influence in a positive way that major brands can come around. It has a lot of spectacle and it has a lot of funny stuff being said, but we don't see cultural change occurring because of stances the athletes are taking. None of the movements that other sports have addressed are being addressed in the UFC. They don't, I think they've done a pride thing here and there. They do the Noche thing, which is like, pro Mexico, whatever, but they don't really lean into any of the other
they
movements.
do the basic. They do what they basic like. We have to do this because this is like a regular thing. Like, yeah, they
Yeah,
don't take any stances that are unique to them, or they don't take any stances that the stances like they don't even take stances.
they don't. They
They
literally like
they like
someone asked, "Why don't you have like a Pride Day during Pride Month?" And Dana's like, "Well, it's none of our business." I get that. I truly understand having a neutral
they
company.
celebrate holidays. They don't take stand. points.
Well, they take a holiday off. I mean, the only one they celebrated was the, Freedom 250, but outside of that, they just take holidays off. They're not going like Merry Christmas. They really just they're
Unless you
non-denominational.
watch the land show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
unless you watch the Wayne show. But I mean, they're not political. They're even having Trump there was not
It's not a
hey, support the Republicans. It's like, no, it's the sitting president of the United States we have a relationship with.
thing. And it's that they do not take standpoints. They're neutral. Yeah, they're not even pretty neutral. They're neutral if neutral is a thing. Yeah, they don't. But I also think that can hurt the fighters, but it can benefit them. It's weird. Like in this situation like this, there's benefits and there's things, but we're talking about what would benefit them if this happened. But I don't think we talk enough in general about what this benefits them, because I think a lot of the times we do, as people, we go to the negative stuff. So yeah, I do think that the situation we're in now isn't bad, but could be better. So I just think that that's
That's
where we're at.
that's always been my point is even when I'm being critical of how the system's being played,
It's really how it
it's
could be better. It's not because how bad it
I
is.
don't really care about who's benefiting in this moment. I'm just saying, okay, fine. The thing that's so funny, people forget where the UFC comes from. The UFC comes from the Gracie Challenge. This started out in gyms, random fights, and basically street fights that then get put into an octagon that gets turned into a sport. I mean, we're not talking about something that you started, in grade school and then went into junior high and then went into high school and then went to college for, and then there's institutions behind it, whatever. I mean, this is an evolution of what street fighter, what martial art, what person's the best fighter,
Yeah,
and it's evolved into this.
this
So
was what combat sport is the best.
okay, so now it's kind of evolved into its thing. We get that. So how the business of the sport is done has to evolve the same way the sport is evolved.
Yeah, and because I think with the like what we are talking, how you're talking about grade school, the just like the evolution of where it goes. It's just the evolution of the sport of MMA is completely different to basketball, football, any other major sport, baseball, and it's much different. And I think that's going to make what it is now different. It's like it's just we can't have it be identical to anything else because it hasn't grown up like the other ones and it hasn't evolved into what the other ones are. So I think that if it keeps evolving, it can get closer. But I truly believe that we will never be the end. I don't think we will be as organized and stuff like the NFL. I just don't think it works for the sport as much. I think
Yeah, I don't yeah, I one is like educational institutional and one's fighting. They're totally different.
Yeah, I think boxing is different. Like we don't really talk about boxing a lot, but that's completely different to all of it. You can say it's a little more organized, but it's organized in its own way.
But also boxing's been around way longer
That's
and it
exactly
has
yeah.
very deep culture and it has a very specific identity. I mean, they called the heavyweight champ of the world the king of the sport. It was like Muhammad Ali was the king. I mean, when they talk about, the Duran and Hagler, Hearns, that whole era, that was the four kings. I mean, these were people that when they fought,
They were the sport.
not only was it the sport, but I mean, I watched that Four Kings documentary and like Roberto Duran's influence on Panama and how countries felt about themselves based off of how these guys did. We're not seeing cultural impact like that. Connor was probably the greatest cultural impact we saw
And
for a country.
that's probably the last one I would say.
I mean, I think Aspinall had the potential. I think Patty has potential. I think Pereira has potential.
And
But
even
like Anderson Silva, I mean, Brazil shut down for him.
yeah, if like these when Brazil had Jose Aldo and Anderson Silva,
Totally different than what they got now.
yeah. Now they really got Charles. They have a lot of Brazilians, but they don't have the same.
It's a different cultural moment.
I really do think though that all these different sports. I feel like the ones that have been around for like similar amounts of time are going to have the similar infrastructure because they have evolved throughout the same time periods. And I think that MMA as a sport, it's not even the UFC. This sport has been around. It's not like nothing compared to these. It's a
Exactly.
baby. It's a baby.
So, and it's
But
grown, and it,
it's impressive to be able to even compare to what the big sports are like football.
nobody's evolved in 30 years the same way that UFC
If we
has.
go back the to basketball 30 years in, football 30 years in, they didn't look like this.
No,
Nothing close
no.
to this. They didn't look like it's crazy because we're comparing acting like I think people treat the UFC also as it has been around for that long, or just MMA in general. And but also the UFC literally is where the sport comes from, basically.
The
That's where,
sport as we know it today.
as we know it today, has really evolved. It just, the UFC was the first promotion to be at, and it has been like that. So I think that the difference is, it's like when you play football, you don't like, people aren't mistaking you for playing NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the casuals, they're like, yeah, I want to train UFC.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at what's going on now, I don't think this MVP PFL thing really changes any of what we're talking about. I think Scott Coker's going to get lost in the mix. I think
I think he's going to be lost, and I don't think that'll ever happen.
And then you have, the Anthony Smith and the Dustin Poirier and a whole other bunch of fighters that I don't want to like throw them through the mud, but there's a lot of guys that struggle post career. I think we'll get to this moment where the money behind the broadcasting will force some changes to occur so that these athletes get put into a better position, maybe have some different requirements for people around the sport to get involved in the sport. I mean, I've been saying this forever. I think it's kind of crazy that you can be a MMA manager in a big organization by just saying you're a manager and filling out a state paperwork. I think that the way the NFL and the NBA, you have to take a test to become a manager. You should probably have something like that. You should probably have less proximity with the management and the shows to the level that they have. But again, I understand it got here because this was a sport that started in a back room and then it evolved into what it was. And a lot of it was just relationship based. So the relationships are so important. But now you've got a publicly traded company, you've got government oversight potentially, you have all these
I
things.
think it's kind
It'll
of
change.
I think it's yeah, I think it has to change at some point because I think it is still kind of being run like it was before it got as big as it is in certain ways, certain aspects of how it's run. And I think that is going to have to change because it's not going to be that, like, it's not going to be the small, like, relationship based company anymore.
But honestly, Anthony Smith, I mean, this could be a 60 Minutes profile. I mean, this could be an in-depth breakdown of what a fighter's career looks like, post-career looks like, depending on how this goes down. I mean, that's the thing. Paramount owns CBS News. That's a massive news outlet.
Yep.
What's going to happen when a news outlet like that takes 60 Minutes and its entire thing and puts it into an expose, and then we find out, what's going on, and then what's
the
public
that watch this,
but then what's the public reaction going to be, and then what are the fans going to want, and then what is the public going to want, and then what politicians going to say, wait a minute, we have to do some changes, and the whole thing.
I think that I think that if that ever happened, I think more than the MMA fans will see this. I think that the regular person will see it, and I think they're gonna kind of have an idea of what they think it should be like, because everybody that watches something or goes into something kind of has an idea of what it's going to be a little bit. They're like, I think it's going to be like this. So I think that if that's on the news, I do think that those people will kind of have an idea of, depending on what they tell the people, I think their idea is going to be created on that.
But I do think a lot of people have a negative opinion of the sport already. Yeah, and they're not going to actually listen to what's said. And they're just going to say these guys are all maniacs and look. But then you're going to have other fans that enjoy the fact that these guys are a little bit crazy. So it's just this crazy divide.
I think that there is a group of people that are just kind of know this is not how everything is in the sport, and the sport's not as bad as people think, but I think that group is not as big as the people that think it's bad. I think more people think it's kind of like,
You see the grandmas that come in and they don't want their kids to join because they think they're gonna be doing this violent thing, and it's so far from that.
yeah, and I think but I think there are more people like that than right now than there are people that don't, and I think that's an issue.
I think there's just a massive misunderstanding, and again, the evolution of the sport is so fast. I mean, 10 years ago, the sport was still being marketed as violence, where now they're marketing as, sports entertainment, where before it was just pure violence for entertainment. It was, a little bit of that style versus style thing and the spectacle, and it's evolved into something different. So yeah, it's moving so fast that you have so many different ideas of what it is. It is what it is, um, but you really have to be somebody that's been there from the beginning and be paying attention to understand. There's a lot of people that don't even look at it what it is today because they haven't watched in years. I mean, my dad is one of those guys that's like, are Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell still fighting? I'm like, Dad, they're almost 60. Like, no, they're not fighting. But it's just one of those ones that the speed of all this kind of stops a lot of the conversation that evolves in the sport.
Yeah, and if anybody's a casual and they don't think it's really bad, but they don't follow it, it's is Conor McGregor fighting this way around. I think that there's an uneven playing ground of how the sport has been. You see it. There's certain stars that are way bigger than the average fighter. We only get so many stars, but they're big. Like
Yes,
is
massive.
Conor more than like massive. He is a cultural phenomenon, and
Yes, John Jones.
John Jones, and I think it's just the that middle ground is not as even as I think the highs are crazy high compared to the middle, and I think that
And the low is like non-existent.
if you're how many I don't think anybody no disrespect to Bilal, but I'm not going up to anybody that's casual doesn't really know Bilal unless they see the hate. But
Yeah.
if you're one of those people that people don't really care about, you're just not in the sport. And even if you're in the middle ground, nobody's really gonna know you. And the thing is that high group of people it's so small. They're like, how many fighters do you think the casual like
What
fan?
is it like? Sean Strickland.
If you're on social media, you're gonna know Sean Strickland, probably Sean O'Malley, Conor McGregor, John Jones. That's four people. How many people are on the UFC roster right now? Like
780 dudes.
almost like about 800 guys. So you're leaving out all the rest of them. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it is really wild. And I just think though, I think money will make it all work. I think as um, profits get threatened based off of fighters' behavior or how cultural will respond to fighter behavior, fighter retirement, treatment of athletes, whatever. I think that's where the change is going to come from. I mean, quite honestly, the UFC's got so many lawsuits that they're looking at, class action lawsuits. They paid out 330 million or something like that on the first one. They've got another one in the courts right now. I think they'll look at this at some point and say, okay, we can either pay out, 3 to 500 million at a time on these lawsuits, or we can make changes so we don't get these lawsuits anymore. And then we don't have to pay that out. And then we can take the money we're giving the lawyers and then we can give it directly to the fighters and create infrastructure. That's what
That's the ideal.
that's what a good company being traded on Wall Street is going to do. And that is what Endeavor is. That TKO stock is a monster of a stock. Those shareholders just want to see that stock keep rising. So,
They
yeah.
gotta do they gotta do what they have to do to see it keep
And that's
rising.
what pissed me off when Ronda Rousey was like, "Oh, fiduciary responsibility like it's a bad thing." Yes, the UFC has to make money, but the biggest part of making the money is how do they manage the athletes? The athletes are the primary moneymaker. If you don't have the athletes in the cage performing in a particular way, we don't have fans, we don't have what we have. So it's a real merger between what culture is looking for and how you
MVP
can profit off of
and
it.
MVP is all about like fighter pay. And I'm like, you're going with the PFL. They're not much better. They're worse than the UFC. They're worse than the UFC on fighter pay. We're acting like we're I just think that I don't know if they can do this whole fighter pay for so long when you have 500 guys, I think they're going to get a little taste of what it's like. And I don't think that they're going to be able to do this crazy pay.
Not if they're running it to shows the show volume that they're talking about.
The
But I mean,
P-
Netflix can solve a lot of problems. If Netflix comes back and says, "Hey, we're going to give you $1 billion," that's a big thing. Netflix has the ability to do that.
yeah, but how it's like, how long is Netflix going to be invested in this? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on how pissed off at Paramount they actually are. Wasn't Netflix going to buy Warner Brothers?
They were going to have Warner Brothers
They
in
were
that.
buying Warner Brothers, and Paramount
And I
stepped in
think,
and bought
but I
Warner
also
Brothers
think
instead.
that's why where they're like, yeah, we can get a get back on this a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the crazy part is that this goes way beyond PFL,
This goes
MVP,
way beyond
UFC.
fighting.
This is politics. This is corporations. This whole thing. Funny when even with the UFC, people are always like, "Oh, the UFC, they're trying
Didn't
to."
they take? Wait, didn't they also take? The UFC was probably going to go to Netflix. Like that was the big rumor.
Yeah, but then Paramount stepped in, and then people are like, "Oh, they went there. It's because they're right leaning and Trump and all this kind of stuff." But then I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Look how much
So
money
no,
that.
but look at Ari Emanuel's brother is Ron Emanuel. Ari Emanuel, I believe he's the CEO of Endeavor or TK or whatever, one of those companies. The one that he basically is the guy in charge of the company that owns the UFC. His brother is Ron Emanuel, who's head of like the Democratic Party, was like, Obama's guy and all this kind of stuff. The UFC is not political. They're green. They're going to be aligned with whatever party, politician,
That's
company
going to
is
help
going
them
to
out.
help them move forward. I mean, it happens to be Trump right now that they align themselves with in a lot of ways, but he's really favorable to them and he's helping the company move forward. So why wouldn't you? So like the guys that are like getting into this whole rabbit hole of conspiracy and politics, it's like they play politics to make money. They don't bleed red, white, and blue. They bleed green. They just bleed green. That's all it is. So yeah, I'm a capitalist. I'm all for the capitalist system. People can say, "Oh, guys aren't getting paid because they got to make money," blah blah blah. But guys will get paid when not paying them ends up costing them money, and that's coming. That's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, it is coming. But I want to do say that Netflix. I feel that. Wait, I want to go back to the UFC going to Netflix point. Wasn't the UFC going to go to Netflix at a point?
I think they had a deal because the WWE was going to Netflix, then UFC was going to go to Netflix too, but then Paramount came in last
And
minute.
then
The
that's
Paramount deal popped up and everybody went, "Whoa, where did that come from?" No one expected that.
and I think, and also that did happen with WB, Warner Brothers. They were like, it was like that deal with Netflix was basically done, but Paramount was like, oh, we'll give you more money for that.
Yeah, but
I think
the
with the Netflix,
Netflix UFC deal, the UFC was not looking to go completely to Netflix because Netflix did not want a league. They wanted a set of shows, like a series. So they
yeah,
wanted like
they wanted to
they
buy.
wanted the number of events. They didn't want fight nights. They wanted number of events. I think they did or didn't want contender. I don't remember, but they didn't want all of it. So the UFC was going to have to split itself up and be on multiple channels. Paramount gave them a home for everything.
In my opinion, I think that the UFC is better with a home of everything. I think that this is not like the NFL or basketball where you can have it at different channels. I think MMA as a sport really is. I think it has to be on one channel, really.
Being on Paramount and the ability to look at the entire archive and see everything in one
Yeah, the
space
thing
and
is
one fee is great.
with football and basketball and baseball, you look at highlights. You don't look at the full thing. Like you're not watching the 90-minute
And I
game.
don't know. A lot of people watch MMA for the freaking clips. Everybody's watching the
Mm,
knockouts.
but it's different. Like I think
And it's
that
also a 6 hour experience, not a 2 hour game.
yeah. But also fights are 15, 25 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So I think that if you have all the fights on one channel, it's better. Like I don't think that having like before on ESPN, it was a mess. Like you had all the live events on there, but you have to go to Fight Pass to get on
But
everything.
their ESPN's their
They're falling.
interface was terrible.
They're falling apart a little with everybody with their stuff.
Their interface was so bad.
Yeah, I think they do great during basketball, but they're like anything else. I don't think I'm watching.
I thought Fight Pass could have been cool.
I thought Fight Pass could have been cool, but I don't. In my opinion, I don't like how you have live events on one thing and then you have everything else on another. I just think, and how expensive ESPN was. You had to have ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I mean the 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 um the thing with the UFC is that they do really well is they create really good partnerships with people that are better at stuff than them. So, like, they don't try and make their own stuff. They get like, if they wanna make gloves, they go to a glove manufacturer and create a partnership. They wanna create, stuff. So, like, Fight Pass would have been an in-house thing for them, and that's why I think they walked on it was because why would they have to pay to figure out production when they could partner up with people that are already producing what they wanna do? And that's why ESPN, Paramount, potentially on Netflix, whatever, just worked out really good for them because they just recognized the strength of those relationships and they leveraged it.
I really do think Paramount was the perfect home for them, though. I think
We
that,
didn't know if it was going to be. It just turned out that way, and it's great.
yeah, it really is great. Like, we were concerned about numbered events not feeling the same. Honestly, I've had more fun watching the numbered events because it's not as much as a hassle to even get to the number event.
Yeah, and
Oh
the
my god, I'm so happy you don't have to switch from prelims to main card anymore. Oh,
yeah,
I mean, because like I remember, like we would watch the prelims. No, you'd watch the early prelims, then we'd have to go to the prelims. Then, if your ESPN was being slow, you probably are missing the first fight on the
it
main card.
if PFL and MVP together goes to Netflix and Netflix really gets behind it, creates show content, creates pre and post shows, creates a weigh-in show, creates
Then we have something to
creates
look at.
reality TV around it, like really ups their game,
Then we can definitely see that.
then there's something there. But until then, it's all just ideas. I don't know. I
I
I,
think
I don't
that,
know where it's gonna go.
in my opinion, I think then when there was Strike Force and Pride, I think the UFC was at a level where it was actually, I think the cost of, I think it was easier to get to the being able to be a competitor to the UFC, and then
Well, because it was on network television, so
yeah,
you pay your monthly cable subscription, you got everything. Now you gotta pick the streamer. That's why, honestly, the last thing I really throw out on all this is that PFL MVP needs a Netflix partner. They need Amazon, they need Netflix, they need a big partner that people already
Amazon
have,
is
but
has too much.
but they need to go somewhere where people already have the
Yeah,
subscription.
that's why Paramount worked out so well.
Yeah, so if they go somewhere that's gonna be new and it's gonna be another cost, that's gonna be a problem. That's why,
Yeah,
I mean, the no-brainer is, MVP already has a relationship. MVP and Netflix and, MVP, PFL, Netflix, put it together like that. Give it a year to prove itself, then you've got a real home. But better than anything, fighters still are gonna have more options. The bidding war will get guys paid a little bit better. And yeah, there's just more opportunity to fight as a fighter, to coach as a coach, and to watch as a fan. So what are we going to complain about?
yeah. If there's more stuff to watch, I'm good. But one thing I think they should not do, I think they should not try and compete with big events with the UFC. I think instead of trying to compete with them, I think they should try and build their own big events.
I think in a lot of ways you kind of have to ignore each other and just do your thing. When you're counter programming, you shoot yourself in the foot because then if you're giving off that vibe of counter programming, then you're literally saying we're going to go up against it and we're better. And then the fans go, well, you're not, or you are. And then it gets into that. But if you just are who you are and you're not countering and you're just doing your thing, fans are coming to it for what it is instead of coming with this curiosity of who did Saturday better. Like that was where WCW and WWE back in the day when they went to war, WCW really hurt the WWF for a while because they went head to head and they said, we're going to go head to head. And WCW had a better product and they were stealing talent and whatever. And yes, that's pro wrestling and it's scripted, but it's the same problem we could run into here. The UFC could really put itself in a bad spot if the
And
PFL puts on some exciting events with really good production around it and they go at it. It's best let the PFL be its league, let the UFC be its league, let them fight in the boardroom over what fighters they're going to pay for, and just let's see how it evolves.
I would like to say that what I truly want to see is I want to see them both do well, but I really do want to see both of them have really good caliber of guys. Like, I don't want the PFL champs to be PFL good, but we're talking about if they went to the UFC, they wouldn't be top five. There should be no conversation to me. I think that the champ in both of them should be champ level guys, or at least title conversation even if you switch them in their organization. I really do think that's how it should be.
Yeah, I agree. So
I think, but like we're like the PFL right now, most of their champs were like, yeah, they're not going to be really, they wouldn't do well in the UFC. It's like, okay,
Eblin,
he's a different one. I think he's the best guy in that organization. The Usman Nurmagomedov I don't think they'd be champ though.
Dakota,
Yeah, the thing is, we're like, yeah, they'd do well, but none of them would. I don't think any of them.
competitive. I don't know if they're champs, but
No.
competitive.
And I think that
Eblin could be champ. Eblin's actually nasty.
depends. I think the division's a rough one right now for him. Yeah, I think that it's interesting. I think that the way that, but did you see a lot of people who did go to that last PFL?
Well, they're doing better. They're doing a better job.
Yeah, they did a way better job, but also
they're using social media better. That's one thing for sure.
The thing is, though, they have more people. They have more people that go there live because nobody wants to go through the hassle to watch it on TV because of how hard it is to literally watch it on TV. If everybody that really watches PFL, that I know at least, just streams it illegally. That's all I know. I don't know anything.
I literally watch it. I watch it through clips. I don't actually sit through an event.
It's like, we don't have the subscription. We canceled ESPN because there was nothing to get out of it. There was nothing good to watch with it. And I was watching basketball on it because your base subscription is fine. You're good with your base subscription, but
yeah, I gotta hop off for a second. I'll be right back, but you're gonna have a special guest.
Oh,
come take my chair.
Yo, what's up, Reid?
What's up?
Show him the shirt. The iHoop shirt.
iHoop.
That's tough.
What's up?
But what about hooping? You don't hoop anymore. You do hoop anymore. You do hoop. Sit up straight. Let's stop. You hoop still, but what are you playing now?
Football and just that.
And
right now.
And how are you feeling about football?
I'm good. Yeah.
What'd you tell me last night? You're the what?
Problem child. Oh. And I am the new Tom Brady.
Wait, but you're gonna play quarterback?
Nope. I'm gonna play defense.
So who are you gonna be?
Or linebacker.
He's gonna play middle linebacker is what we're saying, but what's your dream position?
A linebacker.
You like middle linebacker? You've been talking about how you want to play running back.
Running back? There's other kids on the team that are way, way faster.
Yeah, but I think you're the best middle linebacker on the team for sure.
Yep. Last year, the team, Monmouth Falcons were not good at all. I was the best defender of the whole team, and they never, ever went past.
Why are we talking crap?
The Monmouth Falcons couldn't do anything.
I think that you fit better at your new team. He's on the Buccaneers in his league.
And
they're really good, right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna beat every team?
And Red Bank. Red Bank is the Buccaneers. So shout Red Bank.
Yeah, but what we gotta say is, Reid, do you like PFL or nah?
No, it's boring.
Do you like UFC?
Way more.
But what do you think about MVP?
MVP going to PFL?
They're going together. Are you excited?
No.
You excited to see Ngannou fight though? I'm excited to see Francis Ngannou fight.
Oh yeah.
Who do you want Francis to fight? John Jones? Is that your dream?
John Jones.
What's your dream fight?
I think John Jones is going to retire soon.
He did retire right now. That's my dream fight though. I feel like that's like what's your dream fight?
Dream fight? Tom Aspinall versus No, wait.
Guys, I think this is gonna be a good one.
Ilya versus Ilya.
Even though he just lost?
Yeah. This is a good one.
Ilya versus who?
Ilya versus Armin.
Ilya versus Armin's your dream fight?
Not dream.
That's a fight you want to see? Who do you think would win? I think That's a tough one.
And another one that would be good is Ilya versus King Green.
Oh, that would be good. But I think King Green would get slapped. We love King Green. We love King
His
Green.
His special shorts are goated.
Yo, King Green's awesome. But you would want to see him fight Ilya?
Yeah.
My dream fight probably is I would like to see John Jones versus Pereira or John Jones and Ngannou. That would be fire.
I would want to see it in heavyweight. Tom Aspinall versus Shogun rematch.
That rematch
is happening in October.
Yeah, that's gonna be fire.
I think
what happened with the light here?
Yeah.
Right.
I think
oh, we're good again.
I think Cyril Gahn is now the interim champion.
He's the interim champ, but I think he's gonna beat Aspinall.
The Pereira versus Cyril Gahn, that was brutal and a big upset.
Yeah, that was a big that was pretty even, right?
What, Gahn and Pereira?
Yeah.
That was like 50-50 nobody knew.
Yeah.
The Cyril Gahn, that was a big upset.
Now we know.
You don't do Cyril Gahn enough credit.
Yeah, Cyril Gahn definitely doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think he's definitely overhated because of like the issues he's had and the controversies he's had with like his fouls. But literally his style is so weird that stuff kind of happens. Have you ever seen his parry? His parry literally it's out. Like usually you do the parry close, but he goes by the face. He goes dink, but he gets the eye because when it comes in. But it's like literally just
according to the rules of MMA. Well, you cut my head off there.
I'm sorry.
According to the rules of MMA, you can't do that. You're not allowed to have your fingers out on a move. Your fingers have to be down. So technically, it could be his style, but it's an illegal style.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like it's kind of in that weird. It's like a habit, but at some point you're gonna have to refine it because there's a point where you're literally losing fights, or not even losing. You're losing the chance. Like that Aspinall fight, I think he was gonna win, and so to sacrifice that and now having to wait another year to fight him, because I think that's gonna happen in October in Abu Dhabi.
It's happening in October in Abu Dhabi. Yeah,
I think so. I think that's
like the unconfirmed rumor, but it's semi-confirmed at this point. Yo, I've got to say goodbye. You guys can keep talking. But I'm the coach, Brian Wright. I'm hopping out. This is Brian Wright Official on Instagram. You guys can keep going for a few more minutes. Goodbye. Wreck-It Reid, the problem child.
Yes.
There you go. You gotta check on it. Go.
Okay. We'll go to 110. I got it.
So for UFC, I think they should if they do they're doing the White House again.
No, they're not. No, they're not. That was the one thing. Where are you getting your news? Your brain?
Yeah.
UFC guys, don't trust his info. That's cap.
Maybe they might do another one. For Donald Trump.
I don't know. They're not, because that was for America 250. America 250. It's not going to be America 251. Next year it is, but maybe 50 years from now they do UFC 300. I'll be fire. But in 50 years, I'm gonna be like 70,
and I'll be like 50.
You'll be in your 60s.
No, 50.
No, you'll be in your 60s.
Wow.
Or 50s. Wait, in 50 years, how old are you? 8. Yeah, in 8. So you'll be 58 in 50 years.
Yeah.
But guys, the UFC, in my opinion, is way better than the PFL because with like the PFL, like I just think that PFL doesn't have I don't think they have what the UFC has. They don't have the stars. They don't have the volume. It may be closer, but they don't have the level of infrastructure.
What were you talking about again?
The UFC compared to the PFL.
Oh, yeah. PFL doesn't have the fighters. They really are not, like, they don't have the fighters. UFC has really, really good fighters right now.
It's not even the fighters, it's the stars and the It's just the competition. People want to go to the UFC. People don't really want to go to the PFL.
The PFL is not famous right now. Like,
it is famous, but it's just not at the skill level. Why'd I do that?
I don't know. Tell me.
Reid. So, wait, I want to ask you a question, Reid.
What?
What is your favorite fight to watch? Like, if you were to turn on the TV right now and watch a fight, what fight would you turn on? Like, what's your go-to?
Charles versus...
a Charles fight?
Armin.
Charles versus Armin, even though Charles lost?
What are you talking about?
Charles versus Armin. Charles lost. Charles lost. You want me to pull it up? Okay, guys. I'm pulling up the fight for him. Ready?
Watch. No, nothing happened. Trust me.
Charles?
Yeah, he lost the one. That's now Charles is going to rematch him.
I hope so. That's a fight I would like to see. Versus Armin.
Yeah, he got submitted.
No, he didn't.
No, he lost by decision. Yeah, I know that.
It was close. It was split. Right? He lost. Charles or Armin Sarukian defeated Charles Oliveira by split decision at UFC 300, April 13th, 2024.
I thought,
guys, I don't know what he's doing to that.
A rematch. Trust me.
You want to see a rematch?
Yep. And Charles.
But the rematch didn't happen yet. So, like, how are you going to watch it on the TV now?
Buddy.
I said turn on a fight right now and watch it. What are you going to watch?
Oh, right now. I would watch Conor McGregor versus What do you think?
That never happened, bro.
No, if it happens though.
But I'm saying if there was a fight on right now, get in the camera. If there's a fight to watch, like if you turn the TV on and pick the fight, what are you watching?
See my mouth?
Yo, say something. This guy's coughing. Answer while I go to the bathroom. Ready?
I think Shogun versus I think Shogun versus This is so hard. Shogun versus Shogun versus.
Yo, we gotta go. So wrap this up.
I can't. Shogun versus.
What about when he fought Sergey Spivak? That one?
You
don't like that one?
Pereira. No. Shogun versus Pereira is another one. I think that will be good. And heavyweight.
That happened.
There's another rematch.
Why? You don't want to see Aspinall gone?
Aspinall gone. Gunn has an eye patch right now.
Gunn doesn't have an eye patch. Tom Aspinall doesn't have an eye patch. Bruh, what is this guy doing? Bruh. What are you doing, bruh? But we're gonna my go-to fight. If I turn the TV on and
Max, it has to be Max Holloway.
I would probably watch Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. That one's such a fun one to watch. Conor McGregor, Chad Mendes, I always go to. It's always good to watch that fight. That fight's really good.
I would watch Conor McGregor versus it like in the old times right now, if I was alive, I would watch Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo.
That was 13 seconds long.
I know. I would worth that.
If you were to go back to an event, if you were to go back to like an event and watch it, you would watch that.
Yeah. No, this is a good one. Cody Garbrandt versus
Dominic Cruz.
Yes.
That fight is crazy to watch. But guys, is that all you have to say today?
Yes. And bye.
Wait, ready? We gotta do the outro. My name's Brian, the interviewer. Your name is
The Problem Child.
What's your name? Reid?
Reid, yeah.
Yep. So
don't call me Andy. Never call me Andy.
Guys,
My name is not
nobody
Andy.
calls him Andy, bruh. Nobody calls him Andy. So, guys, we are out.
And say and shout to Brian Wright and my dad. Bye.
Bye.
6-7.